A civilization is any complex society characterized by the development of the state, social stratification, urbanization, and symbolic systems of communication beyond natural spoken language, namely, a writing system. Civilizations are often characterized by additional features as well, including agriculture, architecture, infrastructure, technological advancement, a currency, taxation, regulation, and specialization of labor.
Historically, a civilization has often been understood as a larger and more advanced culture, in implied contrast to smaller, supposedly less advanced cultures. In this broad sense, a civilization contrasts with non-centralized tribal societies, including the cultures of nomadic pastoralists, Neolithic societies, or hunter-gatherers. However, sometimes it also contrasts with the cultures found within civilizations themselves. Civilizations are organized dense populated settlements divided into hierarchical social classes with a ruling elite and subordinate urban and rural populations, which engage in intensive agriculture, mining, small-scale manufacture and trade. Civilization concentrates power, extending human control over the rest of nature, including over other human beings.
The word civilization relates to the Latin civitas or city, as the National Geographic Society has explained it. This is why the most basic definition of the word civilization is a society made up of cities. The earliest emergence of civilizations is generally connected with the final stages of the Neolithic Revolution in West Asia, culminating in the relatively rapid process of urban revolution and state formation, a political development associated with the appearance of a governing elite.
The English word civilization comes from the 16th century French civiliser, civilized, from Latin, civilis, civil, related to civis, citizen, and civitas, city. The fundamental treatise is Norbert Elias's The Civilizing Process, 1939, which traces social mores from medieval courtly society to the early modern period. In The Philosophy of Civilization, 1923, Albert Schweitzer outlines two opinions, one purely material and the other material and ethical. He said that the world crisis was from humanity losing the ethical idea of civilization, the sum total of all progress made by man in every sphere of action and from every point of view, insofar as the progress helps towards the spiritual perfecting of individuals, is the progress of all progress.
The use of civilizations as a countable noun was in occasional use in the 19th century, but has become much more common in the later 20th century, sometimes just meaning culture, itself in origin an uncountable noun, made countable in the context of ethnography. Only in this generalized sense does it become possible to speak of a medieval civilization, which in Elias's sense would have been an oxymoron. Using the terms civilization and culture as equivalents are controversial and generally rejected, so that, for example, some types of culture are not normally described as civilizations. Already in the 18th century, civilization was not always seen as an improvement. One historically important distinction between culture and civilization is from the writings of Rousseau, particularly his work about education, Émile. Here, civilization, being more rational and socially driven, is not fully in accord with human nature, and human wholeness is achievable only through the recovery of or approximation to an original discursive or prerational natural unity. See Noble Savage. From this, a new approach was developed, especially in Germany, first by Johann Gottfried Herder and later by philosophers such as Kierkegaard and Nietzsche. This sees cultures as natural organisms, not defined by conscious, rational, deliberative acts, but a kind of pre-rational folk spirit. Civilization, in contrast, though more rational and more successful in material progress, is unnatural and leads to vices of social life, such as guile, hypocrisy, envy and avarice. In World War II, Leo Strauss, having fled Germany, argued in New York that this opinion of civilization was behind Nazism and German militarism and nihilism. Social scientists such as V. Gordon Childe have named a number of traits that distinguish a civilization from other kinds of society. Civilizations have been distinguished by their means of subsistence, types of livelihood, settlement patterns, forms of government, social stratification, economic systems, literacy and other cultural traits. Andrew Nikiforuk argues that civilizations relied on shackled human muscle. It took the energy of slaves to plant crops, clothe emperors, and build cities, and considers slavery to be a common feature of pre-modern civilizations. All civilizations have depended on agriculture for subsistence, with the possible exception of some early civilizations in Peru which may have depended upon maritime resources.